From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
All right, let's kick it off as we get into another brand new week here of the program, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom, bringing you the information you're not going to get anywhere else. A lot to cover today, so let's get to it. Three big things this hour. Number one, the Strait of Hormuz could soon see a surge of ships coming in from at least 22 nations as President Trump works to stabilize world oil markets and control global energy costs. Number two, the Iranian regime still able to throw a punch and demonstrated its missiles can reach far greater distances than they've ever admitted. It comes as no surprise. And number three, I believe we're going to talk about something different today because I believe we are about to see a major reversal in the workforce. The highly esteemed white-collar jobs are becoming a liability, and the blue-collar working man and woman are about to be rewarded for their choice of profession. This is the CEO of one of the leading AI companies, Dario Amodei, over at Anthropic. Here's what he has to say about the future of jobs in America. Listen.
You've said AI could wipe out half of all entry-level white-collar jobs and spike unemployment to 10 to 20% in the next 1 to 5 years.
Yes,
that's shocking.
That is the future we could see if we don't become aware of this problem now.
Half of all entry-level white-collar jobs.
Well, if we look at entry-level consultants, lawyers, financial professionals, many of kind of the white-collar service industries, a lot of what they do, AI models are already quite good at, and without intervention. It's hard to imagine that there won't be some significant job impact there, and my worry is that it'll be broad and it'll be faster than what we've seen with previous technology.
Look, that's not hype from a blogger. That's a guy building the tech, telling us the tech is coming for the cubicles. And in 2026, we're living it. Tech firms, finance, and law already shed tens of thousands of jobs in 2025 alone. Over 55,000 layoffs had AI or automation. And surveys of executives show more than 1 in 3 planning cuts in the next year or two as they deploy AI tools. Companies are freezing hires, slashing junior roles in coding, customer service, legal research, marketing, even accounting. Who needs an accountant today if you've got AI? Entry-level grads with 6 figures in college debt, they're staring at hiring shutdowns while AI writes the code, reviews contracts, and handles calls better than fresh out of college kids. It's a big problem. Here's a crazy chart for you. The blue line represents the value of general offices being constructed over the last year, and the red line represents the construction of data centers. And for the first time, the value of data centers constructed in the U.S. has officially surpassed the value of offices. Let that sink in. The future is changing and fast. Coastal elites mocked manufacturing workers as deplorables for decades, shipping jobs overseas or importing illegals to do the jobs while telling our kids college was the only ticket to success. And now their Ivy League degrees feel like participation trophies. Student loans pile up for worthless pieces of paper, and the credentialed class that sneered at blue-collar America is now tasting real vulnerability. But here's the red-blooded America comeback. Blue-collar jobs, the ones that build, fix, and keep this country running, these are AI-proof and booming. You can't robot your way through a flooded basement plumbing job at 2 in the morning, weld steel on a skyscraper in high wind, or rewire a live data center powering the AI itself. Demand is exploding because of the AI boom. Data centers need massive physical infrastructure, and we're shorthanded by the hundreds of thousands of skilled workers. The Associated Builders and Contractors estimates we need 349,000 new construction workers in 2026 alone. Electricians, projections say over 300,000 new ones this decade to meet AI-driven demand, plus replacing 200,000 that are retiring. That's 500,000 people. Wages are skyrocketing. Journeyman electricians and union gigs pull 120,000 to start oftentimes, 200,000 plus with experience, overtime, benefits, specialized roles see 30% pay jumps. Construction on data centers averages 81,800, 32% more than non-data projects. I mean, the money is good, the opportunity robust. Ken Rusk is a former construction worker who advocates for blue-collar jobs, and here's his prediction on the jobs that are safe today. Listen.
What blue-collar jobs would you tell people watching right now to go into? About 20 seconds.
Well, I can tell you, anything in energy, that's going to be a huge thing for the future. You know, these autonomous lawnmowers that you see running around golf courses, somebody has to build those things. So anything that becomes autonomous is going to need to be built by somebody, going to need to be fixed by somebody, repaired or maintained. So these are the kind of jobs that will be around for the future. AI is great, but we need to have a backbone for AI, and somebody has to build all that stuff.
These careers, by the way, deliver stability, high earning potential, tangible results you can see and touch, and real satisfaction without the cubicle grind. I hated cubicles, by the way. Blue-collar work has always been America's backbone, resilient, foundational, while elites chased Zoom meetings. Mike Rowe, great guy, great American, another one who's been warning us for years. Schools downgraded trades as a consolation prize. It created shortages everywhere. Here's Mike with more.
We've been telling kids for 15 years to code. Learn to code, we said. Yeah, well, AI is coming for the coders. They're not coming for the welders. They're not coming for the plumbers. They're not coming for the steam fitters or the pipe fitters or the HVAC. They're not coming for the electricians. You know, that Ideas Festival I was telling you about in Aspen, I sat there and listened to Larry Fink say we need 500,000 electricians in the next couple of years. Not hyperbole.
Not hyperbole at all. Mike has shared his stories of young electricians in Texas data centers under the age of 30, making $240,000 to almost $300,000 a year. Poached multiple times in months. Hey, kid, come work for us. We'll pay you more. Hey, kid, come work for us. We'll pay you more. The demand is there, and it's actually integral to our national security. Here's another story from Mike.
Not a week goes by where I don't get a phone call from somebody like the Blue Forge Alliance, who oversees our maritime industrial base. That's 15,000 individual companies who are collectively charged with building and delivering 3 nuclear-powered subs to the Navy every year for 10 years, right? 2 Virginia, 1 Columbia class. Mind-bogglingly complicated. This guy calls and says, we're having a hell of a time finding tradespeople. Can you help? I said, I don't know, man. It's pretty skinny out there. How many do you need? He says 140,000. 140,000. Now, granted, over 7 years, but they need 80, 90,000 right now. These are our submarines, folks, right? Things go hypersonic, little sideways with China, Taiwan, whatever. Our aircraft carriers are no longer the point of the spear. They're vulnerable. Our submarines matter. And these guys have a pinch point because they can't find welders and electricians to get them built.
There's your wake-up call. Parents, you need to start teaching your kids that learning a trade is what will set them up for success. And help pay for your retirement, too. I'll take a break. Welcome to it. It's the Steve Gruber Show on a Monday. Like I said, parents, grandparents, start telling the kids, look, we need plumbers, electricians, carpenters. I don't know where you live. Where I live, just finding a handyman is a trick these days. And if you do find one, get on the schedule and get ready to pay some serious money. It's time to set these kids up for success. Entrepreneur Daniel Priestley predicts plumbers will regularly earn more than lawyers in the next couple of years. Yeah, listen.
Blue-collar work has been devalued, and we've seen people who work with their hands and people who turn up to your house and fix your house in a devalued role. And it could be in the next, couple of years, these are the roles that are elevated the most, and that plumbers regularly earn more than lawyers, simply because the nature of the economy has changed. One thing I've learned over the last 25 years is the pendulum swings. Very few things stay the same. There is always this swinging pendulum, and the swinging pendulum is like, oh yeah, white collar work behind a screen is the high value thing. Oh no, it's actually blue collar work with your hands. You talked about supply and demand. The government disrupted the natural way children go out and find opportunities in the world by making university loans come along. And they said, oh, everyone can just take out a university loan and go to university. In fact, you must and you should go to university, get yourself in debt, or else you'll never get a job anywhere if you don't do a university degree. And lots of young people who should have been plumbers, electricians and concreters and bricklayers went off and got a master's degree in the mating habits of butterflies and, some random degree that doesn't have a job attached.
Yeah. The pendulum, a lot more like a guillotine in the job market today. And now that distortion has led to a massive need for blue-collar workers, which is being exacerbated by this development of AI. Why? AI shreds professional services. I mean, who needs an accountant? Put it into AI. Who needs an attorney when you get legal services for $20 a month that does a better job than your lawyer? Physical work needs human hands. Plumbers, electricians already push $65,000 to $95,000 in medium income. Top earners an easy six figures, no debt, overtime bonuses. For decades, Democrats devalued the trades, pushed for college for all, and hollowed out the heartland. But President Trump flipped the script. He celebrated welders, pipe fitters, truckers as heroes. He brought manufacturing back. Blue-collar workers are currently seeing the largest wage increases in American history. Vice President J.D. Vance has also advocated for blue-collar workers. If you've never read Hillbilly Elegy, great book, by the way. Don't see the movie's fine, but the book is so much better. Read it. It's Vance's memoir. And in it, he champions working-class capitalism, an economy investing in practical jobs, shrinking the blue-collar, white-collar wage gap, paying decent wages for hands-on work. Get dirty a little bit. We're Americans. Now he's getting to see that actually implemented in 2025 and 26 speeches, like his Auburn Hills, Michigan factory visit. He touted over 2,000 new manufacturing jobs added since Trump took office, tariffs protecting American workers from the foreign poaching, and the one big beautiful bill boosting take-home pay by thousands per family. He says we are rewarding companies that invest in American hands, not shipping jobs overseas. He calls manufacturing a fundamental part of who we are as a people, and I agree, because working with our hands is America's heritage. If you're a white-collar worker who wants to switch teams, Ken Rusk says there's room for you too, no matter what your age. Listen.
We have to look past just the kids. We need to look at the middle-aged person who, quite frankly, their job may go away because of AI. So what is your message to that person? Will they be able to land a blue-collar job as their second act?
Well, yeah, it's funny because one of the readers that I was that I didn't realize would happen was somebody just in that situation. I had somebody who had lost their job and working in a cubicle on the 15th floor selling medical supplies. And one of the things they said to me was, I really liked being a plumber when I was in college. I really liked being outside working with my hands. And he said, after reading your book, I said, you know what, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to switch back to that career. He's never been happier because he now controls most of his life. He controls his input, his output, the quality of that output. He controls his day, his time, and his schedule, and his financial gain. So for him, it's been a great move, and I think anyone can do it. They just have to, they have to start thinking differently and get back into that world.
Absolutely. Now, under this America First leadership, we don't have to fear AI. We should be honest about what it is and the risk, but we can harness it. to make workers wealthier while protecting jobs that robots cannot do. They can't put on a roof. They can't frame a house. They can't run the plumbing. Let's expand apprenticeships, kill the college scam, bring vocational training back to high schools, use tariffs to shield our industries. Parents, stop pushing debt-trap degrees. Send kids to trade schools. They earn while they learn. Graduate debt-free. Build a real life and a family. This isn't the end of the American dream. It might be the return of the real one. Built by calloused hands and grit, American grit. The elite sneered at blue-collar Americans for generations. Now the sneer is envy. The hierarchy is flipping. Plumbers out-earning lawyers, electricians with six figures powering AI. J.D. Vance and President Trump are making the GOP the true working-class party. Real Americans, the plumbers, the electricians, the builders, the doers, who kept the lights on while elites chased stock options, well, look what's happening. Blue collar is back. Now, did you know that homeowners nationwide have over $32 trillion in equity? Cyber criminals are targeting it with a growing scam the FBI calls house stealing. House alarms, doorbell cameras, deadbolts. This is not what they're after. They don't care about your stuff. They want the money you've built up by paying your mortgage. If your title isn't being monitored, scammers can transfer the title out of your home into their name using a one-page document they file at the county, then take out loans against it or even sell it behind your back. The scariest part? You won't find out until collection or even foreclosure notices start arriving in your mailbox. But by then, the damage has been done. The best way to protect your equity is with triple lock protection from my friends at Home Title Lock. Triple lock protection, 24/7 monitoring, alerts of any change, and God forbid if the worst happens, restoration services up to $1 million to put the title back in your name. You can check today. Go to HometitleLock.com, promo code Gruber. HometitleLock.com, promo code Gruber. You'll get a 14-day free trial. All right, you want this. We've done it for years. HometitleLock.com, promo code is Gruber. Check it out. We'll be right back. Good morning. All right, big crash at LaGuardia last night. 2 people dead. Here's a crazy story. Air Canada flights coming in from Montreal into LaGuardia last night. There's a fire truck on the runway somewhere. Plane hits the fire truck. Both pilots killed. Dozens of others injured and transported. Air Canada Express regional jet struck a Port Authority vehicle on the ground after LaGuardia, about 25 miles an hour at the collision. Not survivable for the pilots, apparently. A terrible situation. More than 40 passengers were transported to local hospitals. Crew members, aircraft rescue, firefighting officers were transported to the hospital. Of the 40 that were transported, at least 32 have been released. That's good news. But a terrible accident. And how does that happen? How does a plane get cleared to come into a runway when there's a fire truck already on the runway? Terrible thing. We'll keep an update on that. When the sun comes up this morning, we will go ahead and have some video of that for you because that's a pretty crazy. Never heard of such a thing. So there you go. A lot to cover here today. Some changes are coming your way on this program, and we're going to be talking about that going forward. Some changes on the program here today for Real America's Voice. We'll be on for 2 hours today. 2 hours. And that's the way it's going to be for the foreseeable future. Plus, a new special guest that's going to be on the program every single day. You're going to like this, trust me. Ivy's going to be here every day. You're going to love that. I am. Just a bit of a shift, a bit of a change. We feel good about it. A lot to talk about that as we go forward, and a lot of changes coming in the next few weeks. Now you know. Let's see here. Where do we go from here? How about PureVet? This is a great program for the veterans. It's a program, if you're a veteran or know somebody who is, this company, PureClean, it's a restoration company that I've worked with. I had a fire in a house last year. They've done a marvelous job. They put veterans at the front of the line to get their own franchise. They cut the fees, push them to the front of the lines, and say, thank you for serving America. You can find out more at purovet.com. If you're a veteran and know somebody who is, this is a really big opportunity. They have 500 offices around the country, and they're growing. Or you can call 855-PUROVET. I'll take a break and be right back. This is The Steve Gruber Show. All right, back to it now. Hope you had a great weekend. Look, let me just start with this. My bracket, it's destroyed. You know, Florida last night, just as a quick aside, how do you not get a shot off with 4.5 seconds and you get the ball into the basket, you never even take a shot, and you lose to Iowa? Congratulations to the Big Ten, 6 teams into the Sweet 16. And, yeah, you know, we do it as a family every year. We all put in, half a dozen of us put in brackets and his bragging rights for the family. Right now, I'm in first place. I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm surviving right now. All right, back to serious things now. The two most important things facing this country right now. Number one, the DHS shutdown that continues. Now, Ivy and I flew from Detroit to South Carolina over the last 3 or 4 days. We were gone for a couple of days. We had no problems whatsoever. Detroit moving smooth. The small airport in Myrtle Beach moving smooth. No issues. But you look at airports in Philly and Houston around this country, what a mess, what a disaster. The Democrats just don't seem to get it. This is your doing. Open DHS. It has nothing to do with ICE. Has nothing to do with Border Patrol. But they can't get out of their own way. They think that somehow this is going to help them in the midterm elections. It's March. All you're doing is making people angry. As well you should. And the TSA agents, the TSA, the CISA, the FEMA, the Coast Guard, not getting paid for what is it, 35, 36 days now? Stop it. Why are you punishing these people for your political agenda? Oh, and by the way, Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana has put forth a bill that would say, if we're not fully funding the government, we don't get paid. Ever. Whenever the government gets a shutdown or partial shutdown, the House and Senate should not be paid. I agree with that wholeheartedly. You probably do too. Let's see here. Chuck Schumer got gutted on CNN for continuing to block the Department of Homeland Security. They've done it like 7 times now. Comes up for a vote, the Democrats say no. Listen.
Look, Congresswoman, Tom Homan was up on the Hill negotiating, trying to get this bill passed in the Senate. You've seen the White House give on lots of things, cameras, identification on ICE. The White House has given and given and given. Fact of the matter is Chuck Schumer is just a chicken shit, I'll say it, because he's concerned that he's not going to be the majority leader, doesn't want to pass anything that doesn't just blow up ICE. And so that's why we're stuck here. It's not anything to do. Everybody knows what has to be done. Chuck Schumer won't allow it to be done in the Senate, and that's where we are. American people, call the Senate, complain to Chuck Schumer, tell him to pass the bill now.
Oh, yeah, chicken. Family show, chicken. There is no justification whatsoever for the TSA people to be going without a paycheck for the third time. For the third time. No wonder they're not showing up. No wonder they're calling it sick. No wonder they're quitting. I mean, come on, folks. And Hakeem Jeffries, there in the House, just continues to lie. This is the Republicans' fault. Even the Democrats know it's not the Republicans' fault, but here he is.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Republicans have decided that they would rather force TSA agents to work without pay, inconvenience millions of Americans all across the country, and now potentially expose them to untrained ICE agents and create chaos at airports throughout the land rather than get ICE agents under control.
Yeah. Mr. Jeffries, that is so poor. Look, we get it. I didn't see any disruptions at the airports I was in, but punishing these people, ordinary working people, that are there to make sure that our airplanes are safe, that our airports are safe, that we can travel securely, to punish those folks, or the Coast Guard, or CISA, those people that look after our infrastructure, our computer systems and so forth, just getting pummeled for doing what? Their job? It's inexcusable. Over on CNN, Merconish, not a guy that I listen to a lot. I listen to some different people, but not a lot. Even he admits on CNN, there's only one group of people to blame. This is from yesterday. Listen.
With respect, if you're doing this in 24 hours, how well thought out could it possibly be?
Well, that's not it. We're in the wrong place. That's all right. Maybe I got the wrong thing there. No, that was 5. Let's go to 6. Go to 6.
I do believe if you pushed me between one or the other, I would say it's the Democrats who have marginalized the TSA agents in this instance. And I think it's horrible, the way in which they've been used, the TSA agents, as pawns. I flew twice this week and without incident. So it's not like I'm experiencing what they're experiencing in Atlanta and elsewhere. But I took a look at the dynamic. These are the people who are literally on the front line of protecting the country. Think Richard Reed, the shoe bomber. Number 2, it's a very dank work environment. Would you do that job? Would you stand there for hours on end and that would be your employment? And three, they don't do it for much money. My so-called intern, Eric X, had the best idea. There ought to be a bucket at the front of every line right before you go through the conveyor belt. We all throw in a $5 and make sure that these people are covered.
How about a 20? A $5? What are you, cheap? By the way, as we go forward over this next few weeks and reimagine this program, you'll get to know some of the folks behind the scenes. Anthony runs the live sound bites for me. He'll chime in from time to time. That was my fault, by the way, because I told him 5, and here's why. Tom Homan says it's time to bring in ICE agents to secure entrances and back doors and make sure that the TSA is not overwhelmed, right? Here's what he said. Bite 5.
With respect, if you're doing this in 24 hours, how well thought out could it possibly be?
Again, ICE has been at airports across the country for a long time. It's just expanding those things. Look, how much of a plan does it mean to guard an exit to make sure no one comes through that exit? We're talking about security options, and these officers are well trained in security, and they're well trained in identification. And look, we're going to do what we can to help TSA move those people through the line.
Yeah, and you know, how well thought out? They're already there. Dana, whatever your name is, who cares? The fact of the matter is they're already there. They're doing the job. We're just expanding the role a little bit, making sure that they're there so that some terrorist doesn't come in the side door. So that when I'm getting on my flight to wherever I'm going, or my kid, or your neighbor is safe. This is not high science. This is an easy thing to do. And it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, just compare and contrast the way that CNN would treat the Biden administration as you had Joe Biden, you know, walking through like a zombie with Jill holding his hand, guiding him through and up and down the stairs and on and off the stage. Well, the Democrats and the Hollywood elite, who cares what they think? But those folks, oh, Joe Biden's sharp as a tack. And then this administration does proactive, smart things. All right, Democrats, you don't want to fund DHS? Okay, here's a solution. We're going to fix the problem that you're creating until we can fix the other problem you created. I'm here to tell you the truth, and the truth is these people do not care about you. They care about power, which is why they're doing everything they can to rip on the war in Iran, blame the DHS shutdown, which they created on the Republicans, and the list goes on. All right, I'll take a break and be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Welcome to a Monday. Small businesses All right, welcome back to the program. One of the things you're going to find that we're going to do here is we're going to talk about your health. Ivy's becoming a certified health coach, so don't worry. She's aggressively helpful with my health. Chases me around the kitchen with vitamins on occasion, which is fine. Look, in this day and age, with everything that's out there, the highly processed foods, the nonsense, the things that you find in your yard, the chemicals, taking care of your health is probably more critical today than it's ever been. You got to pay attention to what you're putting on your body, what you're putting in your body, and how you're treating yourself. My next guest is a man who's been battling cancer a couple times now, and he really found that if he used red light therapy, it could really help him turn his life around. Rob Renee with me. Rob from Exodus Strong, thank you for being here.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here, and I wanted to start off just kind of like how Ivy scared you last time. I wanted to start off with this incredible mask that we've got.
That is exactly how she looks, too. You know, it's not Halloween, folks. It's not Halloween.
It's not Halloween.
But red light therapy, look, you looked in the mirror. You're going through cancer treatment. And you look in the mirror, you're like, you don't see, you know, look, we all look in the mirror from time to time and say, man, I look a little older today. I get that. You decided to do something about it, and you came up with red light therapy. Why red light therapy? Tell me what this does.
Well, it's so amazing from what it does to the mitochondria, right? What I've learned so much about the battle that I'm going through is, and I've really done an awesome job. I'm so excited. I've really translated my body from a producer of cancer to a fighter of cancer, and to do that through transforming your mitochondria. And there's been a lot of research around red light therapy, and it even actually helps. Some people have been saying, oh, it's really bad for you and it can actually spread cancer. And I have research that refutes that. And so I use it quite a bit in my treatment. And man, just to use the face mask is something we're focusing on today, just because it's we have a special offer for your community, but it's so helpful, right? It really it reduces inflammation, and I don't look like I'm going through a battle, right? And I was gaunt. Looked horrible, and I feel so much better and stronger, and my face feels better, and I'm going to win this battle. It's exciting.
Yeah, now here a few weeks ago, you had a mat, a red light mat, because look, this stuff's expensive, right? I get that. Right. But you had a mat on here that you sold for a couple of $100, or $600. You sold out on this program, which was great, and we appreciate that because we've got viewers that care about their health. This mask can really help you take in light. We were on the beach this weekend just for a few minutes, but it's enough to get in that vitamin D. People sit in these offices without real light all day long. You know, they don't get outside the way we used to. This is a way to help you get that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it only takes 10, 15 minutes a day, right? And we created this, what I'm so excited about is a complete radiant system is what we call it. So not only does it have really high quality silicone face mask, which is amazing, we created a serum that you put on before the treatment. And then it just helps your skin do better with the treatment. And then we have a mist that's called a radiance mist that you spray on after. And that mist is super cool because it's really easy, right? It's really small and misty. And then it just dries, and you have this frequency that locks in the therapy that you just did. So it's really a comprehensive system that no other that I've seen system is we're including that in this radiant system, which is super exciting. And as we talked about, these other companies are charging $600 to $800 for these devices, and similar to our mats, how we're able to reduce the price to get it to where people could afford. And that's why I'm so excited today, right? We have something that's really affordable for your community.
Tell the folks about it. Let's tell them what they can get this mask for. This mask, red light therapy. Trust me, Ivy wears this thing. It looks just as silly as he did, but that's the way it works. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I look silly for a little bit, but yeah, this the awesome thing is we have it down to $297. I mean, that mist itself is a 90-day treatment, and it's $129 just the mist itself without the mask. But and like I said, a lot of those other companies are charging $600 to $800 just for the mask. So we've got this comprehensive system that is for $297. Which is real exciting. Men should wear it, but almost literally every single woman I talk to wants one of these masks, whether they admit it or not. And the cool thing is, since the people love that the whole mat that we have, we said, hey, let's do this again. And last time we gave away a free mask for the people who were buying the system, but it was a different mask. This is our upgraded mask. This is our nice silicone mask. The whole package is $297, and we're going to include that mask and radiant system for free for people if they buy the $597 mat. So if you have the funds, get the mat. We'll include the radiant system with it. But hey, there's a lot of people I know that can't afford it. So get the $297 mask. You're going to absolutely love it. It's going to transform your health.
There you go. Transform your health. And you're a guy who's going through cancer for the second time, making your way through it. Look, you look good. I mean, we've talked for years. You've had good days and bad days. You're on the upswing. Yeah. All right. Website is
ExodusStrong.com. So again, it's ExodusStrong.com/Gruber, right? Because make sure you go to the Gruber /Gruber site, ExodusStrong.com /Gruber. We already have the 297 loaded up there for you. It's ready to go. And then at the bottom, if you want to do the mat as well, get the whole system, it's only $597 today.
And
so
find it all.
Exciting.
Rob Renee, like to see you feeling healthy, my friend. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. God bless you, Steve.
There you have it. All right. And look, if you get the mask, you can scare the daylights out of your dog, your wife, it's fun. Your neighbor that you don't get along with. Good stuff. All right. Greatly appreciate that. Remember to support the people that support these programs and make it possible. But it's what it takes. Because out there are people trying to come after good, honest broadcasting like this every single day. We take some partners to make it possible. We appreciate your support. When I come back, we're going to talk about more of the headlines, including that crash at LaGuardia. How does a plane hit a fire truck on the runway? We'll talk more about it coming up. I'll be right back. All right, so here's something that we'll talk about from time to time here. This has been great fun. Ivy and I launched a new podcast here, I don't know, a couple of months ago now, right? Forgotten America. And this week is the Common Sense Cowboy. Oh, it's a fun conversation. Plus, I'm thinking about doing his mustache here. You guys tell me what you think, but here's a preview.
The first paycheck, it is so important because the first job teaches you, one, you're right, self-respect. Hey, I did it. Right. And also, you showed up on time, you worked the job hard, and you were rewarded in the end. And guess what? The government took a good portion of it. But anyway.
Right.
You learn another lesson. But to me, it's like that job is the first one. Whether it was sweeping floors or I used to work in a butcher shop when I was about 12 and scraping the block and everything else. And we got to make dog food from all the scraps on Saturday. It was a lot of fun. But then you get your next job. And again, jobs aren't just to make money. Jobs are also to get you shaped up because eventually the jobs are going to get more complex and you're going to have more responsibility. And the only way to get more responsibility is to prove that you can do the job and to prove that you're a good employee. And also, if you want to get ahead, work a little harder. This isn't brain surgery, what the three of us are talking about.
Yeah. That goes right back to what we talked about at the top of the program. Patrick Dornson, the Common Sense Cowboy. Fascinating conversation. He left the corporate world and grew the world's greatest mustache, by the way. These podcasts, Forgotten America, you can find them on YouTube under Steve Gruber. Ivy and I talked to all sorts of different people, interesting people, for about an hour. You can find it right there on YouTube. Click the QR code. It's free to become a subscriber, and you're going to really enjoy these. They're good stuff. And by the way, they're going to be being taken out by Real America's Voice on all the networks here soon. So it'll be, great stuff at Real America's Voice. We're going to talk about some of the changes. There's some changes happening today. So you'll notice some changes. We're going to talk about that coming up after the break in hour number 2 on the program, all right? It's the Steve Gruber Show, at least for now. I'll be right back.
From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
And welcome back to it as we continue to fight for you from the foxhole of freedom, digging deeper every day into the topics you care most about, giving you the insight and analysis you're not going to get anywhere else, all right? Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, the price of oil seems to have settled in the mid-$90 range, and that should stabilize gas prices, which vary greatly across the country. South Carolina was 60 cents a gallon lower over the weekend than it is where I live. How is it where you are? Number two, two big items that are being stopped by the Democrats continue to create a lot of division and anger. The DHS shutdown and the SAVE Act, both must be dealt with in a good way and soon. And number three, well, as we roll into the second hour of the show today, I want to talk about some changes that are happening here that we're excited about and honestly very optimistic about. For those of you watching on Real America's Voice or catching the streaming platforms, you will notice right off, I'm here for the second hour. It's how it's going to be going forward, but I'm also bringing my best friend to the program, someone who has different insights, opinions, comments, and frankly, experience. My wife, Ivy, who joins me now. Ivy, good morning.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
And I want to get into this, but first I do want to thank Rob and Parker Sig and the entire team at Real America's Voice. Ivy, you and I have been on this ride since 2019, and it gets better all the time. So over the next few weeks, you're going to see some changes here, improvements, because we listen to you, the audience. We do it for you anyway. This is why we're here. We'll be working hard to deliver the hard news you need, some other features, hopefully a few laughs along the way, probably at my expense. But understand, we do this for you. We will do it with the understanding of making your morning experience better. And we'll do it with faith. Another place that Ivy is instrumental in my life because she is a rock and the person I trust more than anyone else in my life, no question. And just one more note, behind the scenes, we've got a great team here. Anthony, who we'll talk to from time to time, Sarah and Taylor, among others. They're also dedicated to the work of telling the truth, calling out the lies, and frankly, saving this country, putting America first every day. I have no idea where this is going, but it's going to be an adventure, one we hope you will enjoy with us and share for a long time to come. So, Ivy, changes today. And look, there's going to be some changes over the next few weeks. We've got a lot of work going on at RAV for CPAC and so forth. We know that, right? But here we go, right?
Definitely. I've always been around. I've just been behind the scenes.
Mostly.
Not in front of the camera. And as you have pushed me out of my comfort zone to join you on the air, which has been fabulous, I give all glory to God for that because this is not something that I usually do, but I am very happy to be here and very excited to be part of the show.
Well, you bring some different experience, of course. And as I told the folks earlier, and I've talked about a fair amount, you're in the process of becoming a trained health coach right now. So when it comes to health and fitness, look, Ivy chases me around the kitchen with vitamins, all right, which is fine. But there are different aspects. And look, having a woman's perspective here on the program more often, it just brings a different, line of thought to the program. I think it's incredibly important.
Sure. Well, I always bring some education when it comes to health and nutrition. I absolutely love doing that, and it's just part of my life. And so I will teach as I learn. But I want to get to some of that breaking news that's happening with the Air Canada flight landing at LaGuardia.
Wow.
And the plane was coming in. It collided with a fire truck actually responding to another emergency. And the two pilots died and several others were critically injured. But I want you to hear the air traffic controllers. Let's go to that.
Morning tower, requesting to cross 4 at Delta. Truck 1 company, cross 4 at Delta. Truck 1 and company, crossing 4 at Delta. Frontier 4195, stop there, please. Stop, truck 1, stop. Stop, truck 1, stop. Stop, truck 1, stop. Hill 2603, go around, runway heading 2000. Jet 646. Jet 646, I see you collide with vehicle, just hold position.
So you can hear there.
Complete chaos.
Complete chaos. And they're telling the fire truck to stop, and then they have the confirmed collision.
Yeah.
And you can see some of the photos online and on your news networks.
I can't even believe it. Okay, so you and I fly a fair amount, right? You don't like it as much as I do. It doesn't bother me at all. You get a little.
If there's some severe turbulence, I get a
Don't
little
care for
nervous,
it.
but I think that's kind of usual. It's common for most people.
It is, but we fly a lot. How in the world do you end up with a fire truck on an active runway with an incoming flight? That flight was coming in from Montreal, Air Canada. The whole front of that plane is gone. If you couldn't see, I mean, it's nighttime pictures there. Both pilots died. It was about a 25-mile-per-hour collision. They almost got the plane stopped. Not quite.
Not quite.
What a terrible thing. So 40 people were transported. About 10 or 12 are still in the hospital.
Yeah.
And so you look at this and you say, well, what does this have to do with everything that's going on in this country today?
Well, I wonder if you hear so much more about these sort of collisions happening, and I think a lot of people ask, well, is this happening more often, or are we just better at covering them? And I actually asked you a question when the last severe accident happened that was coming into DCA, and the military helicopter hit that plane. And I think it's just that, I mean, literally there are thousands upon thousands of flights every day. So the likelihood of something like this happening is very, very, very small. Now, it doesn't make us feel any better when we see this sort of stuff happening.
Right.
And I feel terrible for the 2 pilots that lost their lives and those that are in critical condition. But if you look at that plane, you're thinking, wow, that's pretty remarkable that, only a couple people were severely injured and died. But
it's no secret.
Goodness.
It's no secret. Another place that we need more people. And
Air
as we
traffic
were talking
control,
about,
for sure.
air traffic controllers, we are short on them, and they didn't get paid during the last shutdown. And here we are with TSA not getting paid.
Absolutely.
DHS not getting paid.
Well, it's, Democrats continue to play games. And anytime that I feel like they're stonewalling, it's something that we should absolutely pass. But this has been going on since February, which is like now we're going on close to 2 months of this happening, going into the 3rd month of this, shutdown. The funding, they just don't want to fund DHS, which is then not funding TSA. And so those folks don't get paid.
For the 3rd time. This is the third time that TSA has been used as pawns in the Democrats trying to have more power. That's what this is about. They're trying to push through by bullying and using these people as pawns. Completely inexcusable. Now, having said that, you and I had an easy time. We flew from Detroit to Myrtle Beach over the weekend. No problems. But you look at Philadelphia, you look at Houston. Atlanta, terrible.
3-hour wait times. I mean, Atlanta is a brutal airport to get through anyways. But you could, any kind of other problems and, TSA agents calling in, not going to work because they're not getting paid, that causes for even more problems. Can you imagine waiting 3 hours just to get through security?
No.
I think it's a great idea. Bring in DHS. Tom Homan's a great idea. Why not?
Yeah, help
Why
them
not
out.
bring your ICE agents in and allow them to do the process? And I think there was one, who was it? Someone who said, one of the senators or representatives, like, oh, they can't possibly know what to do. It's like, it's probably not that hard.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
But how much time do we have here?
We got to leave it right there for now.
Okay.
There's your preview, folks. Ivy's going to be here every day. She's going to stop in from time to time. Different stories, different angles, different opinions. Ivy, love you.
Love you.
All right, appreciate it. There's your preview, folks. Tell me what you think. It's the Steve Gruber Show. I'll be right back. All right, so here's let me start with this, all right? 36 states, including my own. I live in Michigan, for anybody who doesn't know. I live in Michigan. 36 states have voter ID already. And so the Democrats have dug their heels in. Oh, we can't have voter ID. It'll disenfranchise all these people. Well, 36 states seem to do just fine. Virginia has voter ID and just had a landslide for the Democrats, right? Terrible outcome for them, as you can see, with 50 new tax proposals and so forth. But 36 states already have it. So what did the Democrats come back with? They come back with an amendment for no voter ID at all in America. Now, why would that be? Debbie Withnow is the president of iVoterGuide, a division of the American Family Association Action. She joins me now. Debbie, good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Look, the Save America Act, it's in 36 states already. I mean, there's just a few changes here. You have to have an ID. I think real ID is pretty close to being all you need. And no, you don't have to go back and reprove your citizenship. This is really about going forward in the most part. If you're a new voter and you show up, yes, you have to prove that you're an American citizen. You have to prove when you cast a ballot, this is where you live. So if you move from Ohio to Mississippi, you can't just go back and vote in Ohio. This is very simple stuff, which, by the way, the vast majority of Americans support. Democrats opposing this is really putting them on the wrong side of history, isn't it?
Well, I believe it is. As you said, 83% of Americans, including 71% of Democrats, support voter ID. So Americans want their elections to be safe and secure, and that means proving who you are when you vote, so that there is, little error and reason for fraud to happen. It actually tightens down not only the citizenship requirements to register, but it tightens up a little bit of the mail-in voting. The goal is, for the midterms to be successful for the GOP, they need the Trump voters to turn out. The Trump voters firmly believe that there was shenanigans that happened in 2020, 2022, and so it's real important for the GOP to tighten that down. Democrats don't want to tighten down. They want it to open up, like they've happened in California. Even in California, they've got on the ballot voter ID. So you can see there's people in even blue states who want to have more voter ID and want it tightened. And the argument that the Democrats are using, that it's Jim Crow, that it's going to be voter suppression, doesn't hold true. When we had the law passed in Georgia, they did that in 2021, and turnout increased after that thing happened. So it's rhetoric, and it's not true. And my prayer is that the Senate will do what it takes to get it across the finish line and expose the Democrats for what they're really trying to do, which is to allow more illegals to vote.
Debbie, I'm really glad you mentioned California. Gavin Newsom has been opposed to the SAVE Act. It's going to pass, this ballot initiative is going to pass in California by wide margins. So all these people that you claim are being disenfranchised, black voters, Hispanic voters, married women who can't figure out how to get their ID changed after they get married, which is a ridiculous argument. It's going to pass in California by a wide margin, making California state 37. I don't know how else might have it on the ballot. This is an easy thing to do. It's a smart thing to do. Democrats ought to just say, look, let's do this. Let's make a deal and get it done. And I agree with you on the mass mail-in ballots. I have always thought, and I've shared on this program for years, I think that the mass mail-in ballots with no chain of custody, with no identification required, coming in however many days past an election, we'll still count those votes that show up days later because that's something else in there. You get to vote on election day. Look, make it a national holiday. Give everybody the day off, have a national holiday, everybody votes, and it's done, right? That's the way it should be.
It should be that way. And that's really what the SAVE Act is trying to make happen. I think we've got a show going on. The Democrats are putting on a show for their base, in part for shutting down DHS. That's a show for their base, for their extreme base, shutting down this election integrity. I think they're trying to appeal to their far left-wing progressive arm that wants to keep illegals voting, wants to be able to maintain power by having that happen. And the Republicans are doing the same thing in their show to get the SAVE Act onto the debate that's going on in the Senate right now. So whether that's going to actually result in it getting passed or not, I don't know. We do need to figure out what it will take to get it passed. I think it's going to take some creativity on the part of Leader Thune and the rest of the Senate. Maybe they're going to have to attach it to something else. We've got that debate going on in the Senate. It's passed the House. We need to do whatever it takes.
You're exactly right. John Kennedy, my favorite in the U.S. Senate, is pushing hard for reconciliation. You can do this through reconciliation. And as he pointed out, you had 2 more reconciliation shots before you've used up your quota. So if you can put this through with reconciliation, we don't need to play any of these games. Just get it done, because that's what the American people want. Look, there are no major countries in the world that will allow mass mail-in voting except America. And it was really put into the system on steroids during COVID. That has to stop. There's no control. There's no command and control. Also, a truckload of ballots show up in places like Atlanta or Detroit or Philadelphia. We all saw it happen. And that has to stop.
I agree 100%, and I like what I love what our favorite senator from Louisiana says, and even Senator McCormick from Pennsylvania said, if we've got a body of 100 people and 60 people can't find commonality on an 80-20 issue, which is the voter ID stance, it's really a disgrace, and they need to get creative. Maybe it's reconciliation, maybe it's getting it, narrowing the bill in parts, taking the parts that everybody really agrees on. If there's anything that they don't agree on, get that, remove that. But we need to get this passed at the federal level to ensure voter ID and election integrity in all the states.
Absolutely true. I don't say this often. Be like California. Vote for voter ID. That's the way that is. Debbie, greatly appreciate you being here. You can find out more at iVoterGuide.com. iVoterGuide.com. You can join Debbie in this fight to push through. Look, call your members of Congress. Call your senators. Push hard. Democrats, the only reason they don't want this, well, you know why. Debbie, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Greatly appreciate it. This is simple stuff, folks. We want elections we can trust. We don't want them counting ballots for weeks or months later like California always does, right? Enough of that. Enough. Good to see you this morning. It's the Steve Gruber Show on a Monday. I'll be right back. All right, bit of a news flash here. Let me just give a shout out to Diane there in the Getter chat this morning. I hadn't even noticed this. She got my attention, and I had to go look, and she's right. Oil prices just took a dive by about 10%. Below $90 a barrel, 88.81. Lowest it's been in about a week, anyhow. And that's good news. Look, there are 22 countries now that are apparently on board to come in and protect the Strait of Hormuz. And I realize we only get 2 to 4% of our oil from the Middle East, but it's a global commodity. So when there's a pinch in the supply and China pays more or Brazil pays more or whomever, Europe pays more, then the price goes up across the board. And as you've seen, gas prices have certainly gone up across this country over the last 3 weeks. The average price for gasoline in America, $3.95, all right? The average price. Several states are now over $4. California, of course, getting punished. They're almost $6 a gallon on average. Some places in California are paying $8 a gallon, which is absolutely absurd. And look, California, that's your fault. A barrel of oil costs whatever it costs. Right now it's $88. So, Diane, thank you for the tip. The point is this, though. If oil's $88 a barrel and they're paying let's see, $3.25 in Oklahoma and $6 in California. The difference is taxes. And if you live in a state where you're willing to survive and swallow all those taxes and all those fees, you might want to look at your state government. You look at the states, California, New York, Illinois, Michigan, big taxes on gasoline. Where states like Oklahoma, $3.25, Arkansas, $3.39, Louisiana, $3.58, Mississippi is $3.55. Look, those are the states right down the center of the country that have the cheapest gasoline. The cheapest today, $3.25. But with oil going down to 88, it goes up like a rocket and comes down like a feather, but it is coming down. Donald Trump is on this. The administration is on this. 22 countries are now joining us. It's going to get better, I can promise you that. Take a break. This is The Steve Gruber Show. I don't mean to be a downer, but it is that time of the year. April 15th, right around the corner. It's tax time. I know your happy time, right? Not mine either. Millions of small business owners now preparing their income tax returns ahead of the April 15th deadline. And here's something important if you're a small business owner, an LLC, an S corporation, whatever it might be. A major tax deduction coming their way. The 20%, listen to this, the 20% small business tax deduction, which was scheduled to expire at the end of 2025, is now permanent. That means 33 million small business owners can enjoy significant tax relief, provided they do the right thing. That's all part of the big, beautiful bill. Brock, let me know when you've got him there. Brad Close is going to join us, the president of the Small Federation of Independent Businesses, and he says this: small business owners now have the permanent tax certainty and relief needed to grow their businesses in 2026 and beyond. He'd love to dive into the particulars here. And look, this is one of those things. The big, beautiful bill was so large. There are a lot of benefits in there that people are just starting to realize, oh, look, that helps me. Yes, it does. It does help you. Things are happening that can help you put your business or your own personal tax return in a better place. Look, I talked to a guy over the weekend who owns big businesses, and he uses, they'll call them loopholes, but they're not. It's the tax law. He has not paid more than $5,000 in taxes. Say that again?
He's on hold now.
All right, well, let's bring on Brad Close. Brad, welcome to the program, because this is important. Making the small business tax deduction permanent is a big deal for folks. Brad, tell us about it.
Well, it sure is. You know, the small businesses tend to pay more in taxes than their large corporate competitors. And for a long time, Congress really didn't take care of them. And finally, this last year, with the president's guidance, Congress made the 20% small business deduction permanent, which allows them to take a 20% deduction on their business income. And really, when you get down to it, it lets them keep more of their own hard-earned money in the business and lets them choose what to do with it, not the government.
Well, it's important because this means job opportunities for people that wouldn't otherwise get a job, because there wouldn't be money there for the job. But now a business owner can say, look, I can make capital investment, I can hire people, or maybe I can have my people that are here already get a little bit of overtime, a little bit extra, right?
It's exactly right. So when you talk to small business owners and ask them why this is important, they will tell you it allows me to create a new job. It allows to give my employees more money. It allows me to pay for a benefit such as health care or something else that I really want to provide for them and don't have the money. And if they need it, it allows them to get more equipment for their business too, whether it's computers, whether it's a new truck, whether it's new equipment. And small business owners, when they spend that money, whether it's for jobs, people, or equipment, they spend it in their local communities.
Well, you point out something very important there, Brad, because that's something else that's in the big, beautiful bill. It was also in the 2017 tax cuts from Donald Trump, and that is capital expenditures, whether it's a truck, equipment, whatever you might need to grow your business to the next level. A lot of those are complete write-offs in the first year, and that is incredibly important for business. Look, I need this big piece of equipment to stamp steel. I need a truck to deliver my gear. I need a truck to go out and wash windows or put on a roof, whatever it is. You make a capital expenditure, the entire write-off comes in the first year. That's a huge benefit, right?
It is a huge benefit. It allows small business owners to spend that money that they want to spend so that they can serve their customers better. So if you take the example of a small business owner buying a truck, like a van or a pickup truck, they're going to buy that from a local dealer. Then they're going to take it to someone else in the local community. He's either going to wrap it for them, put on their logo and their name, and then another person, another business in the community is going to build out the inside, whether it's going to be racks or storage containers, whatever it is, scaffold, on the back to hold ladders. All that gets done locally, and all that money from that first purchase that they get to expense in a year flows through to other businesses, helping other businesses and their employees.
And here's something you haven't touched on, Brad, and I want to ask about this. If you're somebody who's sitting there going, I don't like my corporate job anymore. I know there's all this demand for carpenters, plumbers, electricians, whatever. I want to start a new business. This gives people an advantage to start a new business to get rolling and take that leap of faith, if you will, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great point, because right now you have a lot of people in the last few years who have wanted to start new businesses, and they just need that little push. Like, can I really do this? Is I'm going to be able to keep my money? Can I grow? Is the government going to keep me from doing this? And I think these provisions that are permanent, which is a huge deal, especially for the smallest businesses, knowing that they have that certainty that each year as they go forward, these provisions are going to be permanent in the tax code. It's really going to help someone take that extra step to open that business, which is going to help their community and it's going to help their family.
In fact, Brad, here's another side of that I think about here as we're having this conversation, and that is The tax refunds this year are going to be the biggest that people have ever seen. Some as big as $20,000. That right there, because the big, beautiful bill, can be seed money for somebody who wants to take that leap, who looks, I'm sick of the cubicle, I don't like where I'm going, you know, I'm getting pushed out by AI, whatever it may be, because they're getting big tax refunds. And this all ties together. Big tax refunds, opportunities for business, the chance to create something in your own community, to take a chance on yourself. That feeds into it too.
Yeah, I think for small business owners, you know, with the rates changing, with all of these provisions, a lot of economists are predicting that the refunds are going to be much larger this year. And even for small business owners, but you go beyond small businesses, just for taxpayers, hopefully for them, that's going to mean more money coming back that they can use for their families. And sometimes that money gets put to use, maybe as a down payment on a new car or a used car for the family, on some new appliances, things that they really need. All that money it really helps the economy. But the most important point there is it's allowing people to keep more of their own hard-earned money instead of sending it to Washington.
Here's what I want to ask, Brad. All right, so let's say there's some folks listening right now saying, okay, I need to fill out the right paperwork to get this 20% deduction on my business. And maybe I can buy a piece of equipment. Maybe I can hire a new employee, whatever it may be. The National Federation of Independent Business, what resources do you have if somebody gets on your website or gives you a call and says, hey, I need some help here, I need some questions answered? What can you do for folks?
So you can go to our website at nfib.com. Just type in small business deduction when you get there, and you'll get all those kind of resources. For a business owner out there who's not sure, do I really qualify for this? Have I got this before? Just go to line 13 on your tax form, and that'll tell you right there exactly what your benefit under this provision was, how much more of your own money you were allowed to put back into your business and spend as you see fit rather than the government. So it's really very easy. And if you are having a hard time doing it, talk to your accountant. They know this provision for sure.
Accountants, they're in danger. AI is coming for them. But in the meantime, talk to your accountant. At the National Federation of Independent Business, Brad Close, good information, important information to help the economy even more, which I think this administration is doing more than anyone in a long time. Brad, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Really appreciate you. Look, get it figured out, get it done. Here's something for an American company. If your flannel shirt feels thin, flimsy, or worn out, and it's still chilly out there this morning, which it is here, it's in the 30s, you need a Muskox flannel. It's an American company, built different. Heavyweight, rugged, insanely comfortable. These aren't fashion flannels. They're made from thick, double-brush cotton that actually holds up in cold weather. Hard work in real life. And they look great doing it. Even better, Muskox supports wildlife conservation. I have been partners with Muskox for years. This is an investment. This is a shirt that you're going to say, hey, Gruber, you were right. Right now, you can score $15 off. Use the promo code HEAVYWEIGHT at gomuskox.com/heavyweight. Gomuskox.com/heavyweight. The promo code HEAVYWEIght. There's QR code. You're going to love this shirt. I promise you. I'll be right back. All right, so if you missed it yesterday, or was it the day before? Weekend might have gotten a bit confusing. I did watch a lot of basketball, I admit it. It's the only time of the year I really watch basketball, and I enjoyed it. My bracket is destroyed, and I'm okay anyway. All right, so there's that. But over the weekend, Iran launched 2 ICBMs at Diego Garcia. Now, Diego Garcia is a little island out in the Indian Ocean, and there's this big military base that's a joint U.S.-UK base. And you may recall here just a few weeks ago, the UK, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the UK, an embarrassment really, but he was going to give Diego Garcia and that island to this little country of Marcellus, I think it was called, whatever. Mauritius, maybe, whatever. And Donald Trump said, absolutely not. Diego Garcia is one of our most important bases because of the stepping off point to defend Europe, to defend the Middle East, to do whatever. All right, so Iran launched 2 ICBMs at Diego Garcia. They both missed, but here is the point. They have the range. Iran said for years, our missile range is 1,200 miles. Well, they lied about that too. They lied about that too, which means with the range of the missiles they fired at Diego Garcia, they could hit Paris or London or Berlin or pretty much anywhere of continental Europe. Right? That's a fact now that we know to be true because the Iranians lied. I know that's not surprising. But I want you to hear this. ABC News got schooled on it over the weekend. Here it is.
I can tell you that UK just condemned the firing of an intermediate range ballistic missile at Diego Garcia. That same type of missile Iran has lied about in terms of its development and said they were not developing, yet they just lied. Yet they just did it. Not only could it hit Diego Garcia, it could hit capitals in Europe. And Margaret, the technology, the booster technology that Iran has been hiding behind its space program, I don't think we're going to see Iranian astronauts on the moon anytime soon. That this space program has been hiding that technology. You have the reentry technology. To marry the two really doesn't take very much. In terms of technological development. And we just have to, thank God the president is taking action now and stopping this march towards a fully fledged nuclear program instead of waiting until after it's developed, like we saw in North Korea under the Clinton administration, say, surprise, we now have a full program.
And there it is. Iran has missiles that can go a lot farther than they ever admit. It doesn't surprise anyone, but they showed their hand. Another reason that we justify the actions against the regime in Tehran, which has just been getting pummeled, to say the least. Meanwhile, Donald Trump referred to the UK, France, Germany, and others as cowards for not protecting the Strait of Hormuz. Look, the oil coming through the Strait of Hormuz is a lot more important to Europe, to China, to India than it is to us. Right? Again, it's a global commodity, but they use that oil. We get about 2%, maybe 3% of our oil from the Middle East. That's it. And with Venezuela ramping up, we'll need even less. Keep that in mind. And Guyana, too. They'll be back pumping oil, a lot of it here in the next couple of years. The Western Hemisphere will produce all the oil America needs for the rest of your life and mine. But Margaret Brennan on ABC News getting schooled again about NATO and how they have not stepped up. Which brings me back to what Donald Trump has said. We step up to protect NATO, but if we were in trouble, would they ever protect us? He says, I'm not sure about that. Listen to this.
The president continues to frame this as sort of like a quid pro quo, and he's also mentioned Ukraine in the same context, saying, I help Europe with Ukraine. Why aren't they helping me? Are you worried that this is going to hurt NATO's goals elsewhere?
What I know is that we always come together. It was under President Trump's leadership that we had the extremely successful summit in The Hague, where we agreed to spend 5% of our GDPs on defense, and therefore equalizing for the first time since Eisenhower, so this is quite some time back in history, equalizing what the Europeans are spending and what the Americans are spending. Not only because it is fair that we all spend the same, and this was a wish from Trump 45 and now it's Trump 47. He got this done, but also because we need it, because of the Russian threat and our other adversaries. Then on Ukraine, it is again the US providing critical intelligence support and a weapons flow, working together with the Europeans to secure Ukraine's fight against the Russians, making sure they have what they need. And now with Iran, I'm absolutely convinced. And I understand the president's frustration that it takes some time. But again, I also ask for some understanding because nations had to prepare for this, not knowing, and for good reasons, about the initial attack on Iran. But now coming together to make sure that we can be able to secure the Strait of Hormuz.
Secure the Strait of Hormuz. That's Mark Rutte. He is the Secretary General of NATO. And he has time and again in the last few weeks and months said Donald Trump was right. Donald Trump is right about the funding. Donald Trump is right about how NATO didn't respond. Donald Trump is right about NATO being more robust in its military capabilities, and so on and so forth. Important stuff. He's more important than any of the prime ministers of the countries who have been, in Donald Trump's words, excuse me, cowards. Cowards. Everyone knows the next medical crisis is just around the corner, whether it comes in the form of a crippling winter storm or a pandemic or something much more mundane like a tick bite, and your family needs to be prepared. It's where the Wellness Company comes in. The Wellness Company, great doctors like Peter McCullough, who join me here on this program regularly. The Wellness Company and its doctors are medical professionals you can trust. Their line of prescription medical kits are the gold standard when it comes to keeping you safe and healthy. Whether it's the medical emergency kit, the contagion kit, the first aid kit, or the travel kit, these prescription kits contain an assortment of life-saving medications and guidebooks to assist in the proper use of these medications. Now rest assured knowing that you have emergency antibiotics, antivirals, and antiparasitics on hand to keep you and your family safe. Easy thing to do. Go to twc.health/Gruber. Do that today and order. twc.health/Gruber. Look, you never know when the next storm's coming. We're coming into hurricane season, tornado season. You know, things are going to happen that you don't expect. Be prepared. twc.health/Gruber. Do that today and be prepared. I'll take a break and be right back. Good Monday morning to you. Did you know that American right, let's check it on sports with Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. We're down to the Sweet 16 in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. The last 8 second-round games were played yesterday. The West top seed Arizona advanced easily. So did 2 seeds Purdue, Connecticut, and Iowa State. But the South's number 1 seed and defending national champ Florida was upset by Iowa 73-72. On the women's side, all the high seeds advanced. Number 1 seed Texas, number 2 seeds Michigan and LSU moved on easily to the Sweet 16. 8 more second-round games are tonight. 5 games in the NBA yesterday. Winners were New York, Sacramento, Denver, Minnesota, and Phoenix. In the NHL, there were 9 games. Winners included the New York Islanders, Carolina, Vegas, and Utah. Matthew Fitzpatrick won the PGA Tour's Valspar Championship in Florida, and Tyler Reddick won the NASCAR Goodyear 400 at Darlington Raceway for his 4th win of the year. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock, thank you for that. Greatly appreciated. By the way, Brock, 6 Big Ten teams are in. Pretty remarkable for the Big Ten, huh?
That's correct.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. And by the way, for those of you with brackets that are completely destroyed, my Final Four are still alive, which I did not have Florida in the Final Four, so I'm good there. But what a couple of great games. And pretty remarkable. But I've got Illinois, Purdue, Michigan, and Duke. That's my Final Four. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's what I got. So we'll see how that works out. Thank you, Brock. All right, so this is day 1 of a new direction for the viewers and streamers of Real America's Voice. We're going to continue to evolve. We got a lot more changes coming. Good stuff over the next few weeks as we continue to work with you. Make sure you follow me on social media. Go to YouTube, by the way. Don't miss that podcast, Forgotten America, with Patrick Doranson. The Common Sense Cowboy. We'll have another preview of him tomorrow. You're going to love this. Me and Ivy, we have a conversation about an hour long. So go right there. You can get on the YouTube. It's free to subscribe. Free. I mean, I can't beat that. It's free. Plus, follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, Getter, all of it. And TikTok on occasion. I'll post a video. So we'll be in all those places. And I'll tell you what, for all of you folks that are leaving me now on TV, we'll see you tomorrow. And for those of you continuing on radio and elsewhere, we've got another big hour straight ahead here of the Steve Gruber Show. See you there.
From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
All right, let's launch another brand new hour here of the program. Glad to have you on board as we fight for you from the foxhole of freedom, giving you the facts every single day. All right, so here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, count them, six teams from the Big Ten are in it for the Sweet 16 now. 6, remarkable accomplishment. Michigan State in. Number 2, a Michigan dad is heading to federal court after a middle school banned him for objecting to rainbow and trans flags in his kid's school. All right. And number 3, this is just out. Oil dropped down to $88. It's back up to $92, but it took a pretty big dive this morning. And the markets are also up in pre-market trading. So that's good news. And it comes after Donald Trump ordered the War Department to postpone strikes on Iranian energy facilities and infrastructure. He said they've had productive talks to end the war. Productive talks to end the war. In an all-caps post just a short while ago, he put this out on Truth Social. Let me read it to you. I am pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had over the last 2 days very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East. Based on the tenor and tone of these in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, which will continue throughout the week, I have instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period, subject to the success of the ongoing meetings and discussions. As a result, oil prices dropped. The Dow futures are looking up today. So if this actually comes to pass and we have crippled Iran's military abilities, well then, that's pretty important. The Dow up almost 600 points pre-market. Now, keep in mind, it had gone below 46,000, having surpassed 50,000 just here a short while ago, a couple of weeks ago. And now it's down below 47,000. So there's been a big adjustment, no question about it, right? There's been a big adjustment. But postponing the strikes is important. Trump's move followed a threat by Iran to attack Israel's power plants and those supplying U.S. bases across the Gulf, and threatened to attack water infrastructure of its Middle East neighbors. Hopefully this has been headed off. And look, we learned over the weekend, that Iran has missile capabilities that travel far beyond the 1,200 miles they had claimed. So big changes. Monday afternoon, though, United Arab Emirates reporting more attacks from Iran. Prior to Trump's announcement, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi acknowledged talking by phone with his Turkish counterpart, Hakan Fidan. Turkey has been working as an intermediary. And speaking in Parliament, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday compared the challenges caused by the war to those faced during the COVID pandemic and said India needs to be equally prepared this time. Modi said the country's power plants have adequate coal reserves and that all power supply systems are closely monitored as summer approaches, demand rises. Fertilizer stocks remain sufficient. And Modi says he's encouraging all sides to end the war. All right, so you've got that. Meanwhile, Iran had threatened to go after water supplies, infrastructure. You impact water in the Middle East, and that's something of real significance. I don't know what the ability is to defend the water supplies in the Middle East, but obviously it's a big concern. Here's a story coming out of Michigan that I think is fascinating. From Grosse Pointe Woods, we have this story from Michigan News Source, my news company. A soon-to-be-filed federal lawsuit against the Grosse Pointe public school system accuses the district of crossing a constitutional line by retaliating against a dad for expressing political views about what he observed inside his kid's middle school. According to the draft complaint reviewed by Michigan news source Gary Shane Pruitt, is challenging a no trespass order that has barred him from school property since October of 2024, along with what the lawsuit describes as an ongoing public shaming through the posting of his photograph in the school office. The lawsuit alleges First Amendment retaliation and other constitutional violations, along with violations of the Michigan Constitution and defamation claim. He went in and attended back-to-school events at Parcells Middle School, September of 24. He said he noticed rainbow and transgender flags displayed all over the building. All over the building. He said he voiced concerns to school officials and received what he viewed as dismissive responses from the principal and superintendent, including comments that nothing was likely to change. In addition, he received a sarcastic message from board member Valerie St. John. He later returned to the school after hours. He had permission from school personnel, recorded a video of the displays in classrooms and hallways on the 30th of September. The lawsuit says students were already gone for the day, so he was there basically just with a few members of the staff. No classes were in session, and the few adults captured on video were obscured so they could not be identified. And then Pruitt posted that to Facebook. He did that October the 14th. In the video, Mr. Pruitt calls recording an informative video to let all the parents know exactly what's going on within the school district, and of course, everyone can form their own opinions after. That's what he posted. Here's what's going on. He showed a rainbow flag in the video, said it was bigger than any other flags in the school. He described it as both controversial politically as well as a display of sexuality. Doesn't sound too off base to me. At the end of the video, he said the flag represented radical programming being forced upon children by adults, urging parents to speak out against the groomer teachers. But what happened next is the center of the case. The complaint says Parcells principal Jason Wesley sent an email to all parents in October 24. The video did not contain any threatening content. Pruitt's speech was political in nature as expressed by a parent, and the video was recorded by a parent after dismissal. We value your input and want to ensure that all voices are heard, but despite these acknowledgments, the lawsuit says the school announced increased police presence at the start of the school day. Days later, according to the complaint, Pruitt was personally served by Grosse Pointe Police with a letter from the district's attorney issued at the direction of the superintendent, banning him from school property for taking a video of what is displayed on the walls. You're not allowed to show the public what we have on the walls of a public, let me be clear about that, a public school. Punishing his speech. Well, let me tell you, he's not taking it lying down. A federal lawsuit is about to be filed in this case, and I am going to tell you my prediction on this case. Cases take time, and there's a process. My prediction is clear. He will prevail. He had permission to be at the school. He photographed stuff that's in the hallways of a public school and said, why is this the biggest flag in the school? This is a problem for me. Parents, you should know what they're doing in your school. Nothing about what he did was wrong or out of order, and it should be commended, not condemned. We'll see how the lawsuit plays out. Nice to see you this morning. It is the Steve Gruber Show. All right, when a child has to be transported, how should it be done? When a child has to be transported, should they be restrained? Paris Hilton came in to testify on this. And my next guest, State Representative Cam Cabot from Michigan House District 106 in Sheboygan, is pretty pleased that she did. Cam, good morning.
Good morning, Steve. Thanks for having me.
All right, so tell us about this bill. That you had concerns about the way children were being treated when they were what, taken out of a classroom, taken away from the school, taken from their home. What? Tell me about this.
Yes, all of those things, Steve. It depends on what the parents set up. And this bill deals with how kids are transported to treatment centers and residential homes. And here's the scenario. I had a constituent whose 12 and 13-year-old son had run away from home a couple times. They found a residential treatment center where they could try and get some, smarts talk back into him. And they sent a van to come pick him up. And these guys came late in the evening in tactical gear, brought him out to the vehicle, put him in leg shackles and handcuffs, and drove him to Missouri.
What? How old was this kid?
13.
And this was authorized by his parents, the school district, what?
Well, unfortunately, the parents are kind of ill-informed sometimes on this, and they had made the arrangement with the residential treatment center to send transportation. And how that went down is they signed a disclaimer or a waiver, so it holds the transportation companies not liable.
So,
for their action.
So let me play devil's advocate here. A 13-year-old kid could be violent and out of control, or could try to escape the transportation vehicle, the van or whatever.
Absolutely. If they have a history of that, or if they're out of line during transportation, the company could certainly use that. But it can't be used as a default position, which is what they've been doing. Some of it is part of a shock treatment that the treatment centers use. They want to rile you up. They want to put some fear in you. They want to make you uncomfortable. It's all part of the programming.
And some people listening are going to say, what's wrong with that?
Well, I've got a lot of people, a lot of adults who are very traumatized by that kind of treatment when they were younger. Still today, they carry that trauma, including Miss Paris Hilton, a debutante who has shed a lot of light and has a Netflix document on the unregulated industry of child transportation, Steve.
All right, so what did she say?
Well, she to this day was, when she was younger, and a lot of us, she had a very public childhood. She was a wild thing, and her parents had found a treatment center for her in Phoenix, and they sent some people to come pick her up. Again, they often show up in the middle of the night, sometimes 2, 3 in the morning, and they had put her in zip ties and hogtied her and carried her away, and no one was responding to her pleas for help or crying. I'm certain, giving her certain social situations, kidnapping is a realistic fear. She thought she was being kidnapped.
All right, so as a matter of practice then, what is your list of qualifications, if you will, your list of, okay, we can put the kid in shackles if. I mean, because here's, and I'm going to tell you, this is what some people are thinking, Cam. Well, if you got a kid in the car that's 13, maybe they haven't shown any disposition to run or to flee or to be violent, but all of a sudden they're caged in the car, unrestrained. Can that not be dangerous? And what would happen if one of these kids got away from one of these transport companies? I mean, somewhere, there's people that are going to push back on this. I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, Steve. They have straight jackets that they use. They have spit masks that they can use. They certainly are very well adept at using leg shackles and handcuffs, which is what they did to my constituent's child.
And what did the parents?
We're not talking about children here that have been adjudicated or are in the criminal justice system.
No, they're going to rehab.
Private people. That's correct. Rehab or some sort of treatment center. That's correct. Residential home.
Yeah. So the parents now, what is their position? Because they can't sue, obviously, because the transport company has no liability here by design. What can they do?
Well, we can pass a law. Why they're in the state of Michigan, they are not going to be able to transport kids like that in leg shackles and in irons. if they've not been adjudicated and in the criminal justice system, unless they show violent tendencies or, spitting would obviously be one of those, biting, of course. Those would be the types of things that where it would be prohibited in certain safety situations.
So are these transportation companies going to continue to work under those restrictions?
We'll see, Steve. There's a lot that goes on in child transportation. There's a lot of money changing hands, and this is an regulated industry. We don't have any numbers or much information or data on what they're doing with our kids, Steve. And this is the first step in the right direction to helping rein in the transportation of our children.
Yeah. So what is the solution then? I mean, obviously you've got a bill here. I don't know what its likelihood of making it through is. Do you have bipartisan support? Where are we on it?
We did have bipartisan. It's actually everybody but one person voted it out of the House. And so it will go, hopefully we'll get a committee assignment in the Senate, and we'll see where it goes. When you listen to the emotional test, I'm not doing very good of advocating because I haven't personally been affected by this. But if you talk to someone who has been personally affected by it, I think the emotional testimony would maybe you'd come around to a different way of thinking, Steve.
I'm just, I guess I'm seeing it from both sides, the concerns for the safety of the child, but also you don't want to abuse the child. Somewhere in there, you're going to get to maybe a middle ground, maybe not. I'm not sure. But Cam, keep us informed on this as it moves forward. And I do want to know if those transportation companies say, well, if we can't have control over the individual we're transporting, we're not going to do it. I don't know yet. We'll find out. Cam Cavan, always appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, Steve. Always.
Greatly appreciate it. Didn't see that one coming today. Different sort of a conversation, different sort of legislation. I'll take a break and be back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Don't forget to follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, Getter, TikTok, all of it. And, of course, become a free subscriber on YouTube. All right, so, we're going to talk more about this. I don't know if Brock's in his chair or not. He sometimes runs out.
I am. Hello, sir.
Hi there. All right, so the 16 teams left, I'm just looking at Kalshi. Kalshi now has Arizona most likely to win the championship, followed by Michigan, and Duke is in third place. I mean, Duke had did not have great games.
Well, Duke got a lot of help from the officials on Saturday, no doubt.
Yeah.
Against TCU. Michigan's kind of, they struggled in round one for about 30 minutes with Howard, and pretty much the same with St. Louis, and their overall talent just kind of took over. But, they got Alabama next, who blew out Texas Tech last night, and Michigan State now has to play Connecticut. That's in Washington, D.C. Michigan plays in Chicago. So
Spartans are playing pretty good. Spartans had a couple of pretty good games.
Yes, very good wins, very good against North Dakota State, and very good in a physical game against Louisville. That's the way State likes it. I'm picking Connecticut to beat them, but State's going to have to shoot well, and I don't know if they can.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be surprised if Sparty came out of there either.
Would not be a shock.
No.
Surprise and shock, there's different degrees to this. A shock, no. Surprise, yes.
So who do you think, of the 16 teams left, who you with?
I still got Arizona, who I picked in January.
There you go.
Still got Arizona.
Yeah. My final, I've got Illinois, U of M, Duke, and PU. So I've got 3 Big Ten teams in there.
Yeah, I mean, how about 6 Big Ten teams left? 3 of the 4 in the South region are Big Ten teams. Illinois plays Nebraska for a berth in the Elite Eight. Houston's playing. Why am I drawing a blank here?
Iowa?
Yeah, no. No. Crap, I can't think of it right now.
It's all right.
I don't have it in front of me right now.
It's all right, Brock. You're older.
Sorry, it's early.
Anyhow, I'm just glad my Final Four is alive after the first weekend.
Yeah. Or no, Iowa plays Nebraska. Illinois plays Houston. That's what it is.
There you go. And Illinois can beat Houston. They're playing pretty well.
Yes, they can. They're dangerous. Illinois is dangerous.
You got that right. That's why I got them in the Final Four. All right, we'll see what happens. Thank you, Brock. Games don't start again until Thursday. I'll take a break and be back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. You know, I argue, and I still do, that America has the best health care in the world if you can get access. And there's also a lot of pricing schemes and issues that are very detrimental to those paying the bill. Those be people like you and me. So this is really important. So I wanted to sort this out a little bit. Miguel Rodriguez, Executive Vice President, General Counsel of American Pharmacies. It's an independent pharmacy advocacy group. Miguel, thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, Steve.
All right, so the independent pharmacists have testified about abusive PBMs. Tell the folks what a PBM is. It's like a middleman here in the middle of the drugs are created somewhere and they make it to the pharmacy, but in the middle you've got this PBM. Tell the folks what it is.
Yeah, these PBM, they're the quintessential middleman, an entity that is these are the largest companies in the country. 3 of the very largest control 80% of every prescription drug claim in the country. They control about half of all pharmacy claims. So they do 2 things. They control and dictate how much patients pay for their drugs, which drugs are covered, which drugs are preferred to be covered, where patients can get their drugs, and also whether or not they're going to need a prior authorization. Those are the scary words.
There it is. There's the thing that outrages so many people. It's called a pharmacy benefit manager, by the way, the PBM. And they get to dictate what you get. And so here's what outrages people, Miguel. That's when your doctor says, okay, you need this medicine or you need this procedure or whatever it is. And then an insurance company or a PBM or somebody else says, yeah, we're not giving you that. So it's not the doctor dictating care or medicine. It's some person who's not even involved in your care, who's on some distant place that you don't see, don't know, can't deal with directly. You get them on the phone maybe if you're lucky. But you've got people dictating healthcare in America that should not be part of the conversation, right or wrong.
Absolutely, Steve. And that's the trouble. Patients, we as consumers and patients, we pay our premiums every month to get covered. So when we need it, it's there for us. We go to our doctor and our doctor tells us exactly what we need. Often that is prescription drugs. That's how we treat most problems that we have in a health standpoint, is often prescription drugs. It's up to the patient to decide where they want to get it filled and that they're going to get the drug that the doctor told them they need. And so it's a terrifying prospect when they walk up to the pharmacy counter and the pharmacist can say, I'm sorry, you're going to have to try this other drug first. The drug your doctor told you need, you can't take. You got to try this other drug first. Now, why is that happening? That is happening because the pharmacy benefit manager gets money from the drug maker to get preferred on a formulary, so that the drug maker that pays the most to the pharmacy benefit manager will have their drugs tried first, whether the patient needs it or not.
So
and until that.
Yeah, so here's something that I see happen in medical procedures, and you tell me if this is true for prescription medication as well. You go to a hospital and you get an MRI. Depending on what your insurance coverage is, what company you're with, there can be 100 different price points for the same procedure, sometimes even more. It's unbelievable. Is the same thing true for pharmaceuticals, for prescription medication? Are there all different price points?
Absolutely. Almost every patient that walks into the door of a pharmacy is getting the ultimate price for that drug is going to be different depending on who their employer is, what plan they're on. Totally different pricing scheme for almost every single patient that walks in the door, even if they're taking the same drug on the same day. And why is that happening? That is not a decision of the pharmacy. As expensive as these drugs can be to the patient, the pharmacy often gets paid less than what it takes them to acquire the drug for it. So pharmacies are closing for that reason. And it's not as a result of pharmacies choosing the price. They don't get to have any say in how much patients pay. The pharmacy benefit manager controls all of that.
Really? So they can price a drug at a point that the pharmacy itself is not financially sustainable.
Yes, sir. And there have been dozens and dozens of pharmacies closing all through Michigan, all through the country. There's one pharmacy closing every day in this country. And it doesn't matter if you're a large pharmacy or a small pharmacy. Rite Aids are closing. Walgreens are closing.
Well, Rite Aid is gone. Rite Aid is gone. The whole company's gone. Is this one of the reasons why?
Absolutely. This is it. That is one of the biggest symptoms, and it's looking right at us in the face. Is these pharmacy benefit managers ran Rite Aid out of business, and they're doing the same thing for all of the local pharmacies. They're doing what they can. Now, when those pharmacies close, these independents, they are the most competitive, efficient ways healthcare providers in this country. They're cutting staff, they're cutting hours, they're cutting services like delivery. They're doing everything they can to stay in business, because once they're gone, communities lose the most accessible healthcare they have in their community.
That's exactly what you end up with, is pharmacy deserts. Well, because let's back up in the equation here. Rite Aid came in and pushed out the mom and pop pharmacies, right? Because they came in and set up all over the country. And so the mom and pop pharmacies have been around for decades. Those are gone. Then the Rite Aid is gone. And then there's no pharmacy at all. I mean, how is that good for anybody?
It's not good for anybody. And patients are left having to drive 20 miles each way to get medicine they need. You know what they do when they're faced with that choice? They don't take their medicine. You know, they may not have access to reliable transportation. They may not have the time. They have other responsibilities. When you are faced with these barrier to get your medicine, you stop taking it. And that leads to the most expensive healthcare of all. When people get complications or need emergency room care, that's the most expensive solution for our healthcare system. We can't have that.
Yeah.
And plus, think of all the times you can go into the grocery store that has a pharmacy, or your local pharmacy, and you just go to the counter and say, you know, I just need a little of your time. Something's bothering me. What should I do about it? Is this something I need to worry about? The pharmacist is there often with no appointment. You can just walk up to the counter and ask a question and get medical care. These pharmacists are also doing other things. They're your insurance representative practically when you get these prior authorizations, or they're telling you got to get your drug at mail order and not go to the local store. They're the ones on the phone calling 1-800 numbers and spending dozens of minutes and hours talking to insurance representatives trying to get the patient the drug they need.
Right.
It's an important part of a community, and it's unrecognized in a lot of ways.
Certainly a problem, and just another problem that we've identified here for people to pay attention to. You come back when you've got an update for us, Miguel. I really appreciate this. People need to understand what does not work when it comes to medical and health care in America. Sir, thank you.
Thank you for your time, Steve. Really
appreciate it. Look, it's the way it is. When it comes to a different sort of medicine, how about Patriots Relief, CBD? No prescription necessary. And I just got off the phone with my friend Tim at Patriots Relief. He's having an amazing special. Buy 2 or more tinctures, half off. 2 or more, half off. You need relief from aches and pains like I do. Your body's probably begging for balance. CBD can naturally restore that balance. Of pure and pleasant tasting tinctures from Patriots Relief alleviate pain throughout your whole body. Simply placing a few drops of the tincture under your tongue, your body will absorb that into your bloodstream, providing long-term balance and relief. Yep, even the dogs take it around here. Buy 2 or more tinctures, get half off. Whether you buy 2 or 20, you'll get half off. Remember to use the promo code Gruber for 40% off everything else, including combo packs. Call Tim and his family now. Get on the phone or get online, patriotsrelief.com. Patriotsrelief.com.
But what about the energy systems we all...
I tried. All right, off and running again. And look who's back. Ivy's back. There she is. God bless America. Ivy, good morning again.
Good morning again.
How are you?
I'm great. A little refreshed after a few days in Myrtle Beach.
Weather was nice.
Some warmer temperatures, cool cooking class. You out fished me for the first time in a long time, which was awesome. I loved it.
I did have a day yesterday before we had to catch the flight. That's true.
Yeah, which is great. I love that you kicked my butt.
Yeah, doesn't happen very often.
It doesn't happen very often when it comes to fishing. But have you heard about this Operation Gold Rush?
No idea what you're talking about.
It's the largest healthcare fraud bust in U.S. history.
I did
It
hear
was
a
just
bit.
exposed. And this wasn't just fraud. It was a global operation that turned the U.S. healthcare system into a $14 billion ATM. And I want you to hear this play that.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Matthew Gagliotti, and I'm the head of the Justice Department's Criminal Division. Thank you all for joining us today as we announce the largest coordinated healthcare fraud takedown in the history of the Department of Justice. Today marks a decisive moment in our fight to protect American taxpayers from fraudsters and to defend the integrity of America's healthcare system. We are announcing today charges against 324 defendants for their alleged participation in healthcare fraud schemes involving approximately $14.6 billion in false claims submitted to Medicare, Medicaid, and other healthcare programs.
Wow.
$14.6 billion in fraudulent medical claims.
And they're just getting started, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And these included these folks that have been charged were doctors, pharmacists, in international crime groups.
I hear that, and I look at Minnesota and the fraud.
Mm-hmm.
I look at fraud in Michigan. I look at the fraud in California, bigger than all of it. And then the federal government is such a much bigger target for fraudsters, so much bigger.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, think about if Trump was not president. Would we have uncovered any of this fraud?
No, because you look at Tim Walz in Minnesota, they'd have just kept right on going because they knew the fraud was going on. I do not believe there's any case or any scenario where they did not know the fraud was going on. So they knew the fraud was going on, but they kind of looked the other way because if they let the fraud continue, that block of 100,000 Somalian voters will just stick with you.
Yeah, money in your coffers and votes, right?
Yeah.
But this organization of criminals, they bought legitimate U.S. medical supplies. They turned them into shell companies, and they laundered money through banks, crypto, and overseas accounts. They were highly sophisticated. They used AI-generated fake patient consent recordings to push fraudulent claims. It's considered the biggest healthcare fraud case ever prosecuted in the United States. While billions were blocked, hundreds of millions of dollars were actually paid out. And if you think about it, we worry about why it seems like our systems are failing. Maybe this is why.
Yeah, maybe we're blowing all the money on thieves.
Right. It's unbelievable, but.
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, you've got the fraud. You've got the bizarre pricing schemes, which is what they are. You've got Americans paying more for prescription drugs than anybody else, basically, and Trump's trying to change that, obviously. I mean, there are systemic problems throughout healthcare, and it's not just that. Obviously, we saw the Leering centers in Minnesota and the autism centers and the home health care deals. It was all fraud. And it's worse in California. It's worse in other places, right?
Sure. Yeah, just rampant with fraudulent activity. But anyhow, I do want to talk about, while we have a little bit more time here, the basketball tournament going on.
Oh, yeah.
I had a major loss yesterday. I had the Florida Gators in the final two, so that really crushed me.
Ivy's done.
Well, no, I have. Who do I have winning? Do I have Purdue winning?
Yes.
I have Purdue winning. So
and you're the only one. You're the only one with Purdue winning. Which, by the way, I don't think it was a bad choice. We talked about this.
Right.
Purdue was the preseason
I went with
number one. I
something
think.
different than everyone else did. I know both of our kids picked Michigan to win. You picked who did you pick? Duke. And so I'm like, okay, I have to pick something else. Although of course I'm a big Michigan fan.
But I have Duke against Purdue in the final.
Interesting.
See, so we'll see.
It could be a standoff.
But I would have no disappointment if Michigan wins it. I would have no disappointment if Michigan State wins another couple of games. None whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan State, Brock just said he thinks UConn's going to beat them, but, look, they're playing pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, we'll see. This is why you play the game, right? I mean, there's been so many upsets even last night with the Florida game.
How do they not get a shot off? We watched that game.
I just don't understand that.
They got 4.5 seconds. They get it right down to the basket. They never shoot the ball.
Well, the guy that just drove it in should have taken it to the hole.
Yeah, Lee. He should have taken it right to the hole. You were a basketball player.
Yep.
I was so
just
good at basketball,
put it
I
up
wrestled.
and then draw the foul, at least tie the game. What'd you say?
I said, well, they would have won the game with the basket. I said, I was so good at basketball, I wrestled, is what I said.
Exactly. No, what I was saying is if he had just missed the basket but drew a foul, at least he could then.
He could have won the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, at the foul line.
Which I think you said Michigan State won in a national
Michigan
championship.
did. Michigan did. 1989. Okay. Got 2 free throws. End of the game. He sank them both, won the game.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyhow, it is fun, though. We do it as a family.
Yeah.
And Anthony and a couple other folks, but basically it's family or people that are here in the office. Mm-hmm. Anthony's, by the way, not so good.
My bracket?
Yeah, not so good. Not so good.
I was doing great until Florida lost.
Both my finals, I think, I think I had Duke versus Michigan.
Oh, then you still have a shot at this
Michigan
thing.
Winning.
Yeah.
But I would actually say change it to MSU versus Michigan in the final.
Wouldn't that be great?
Wouldn't that be interesting?
Wouldn't that be the greatest thing ever? Yeah, anyhow. All right, Ivy, nice seeing you. Ivy's on double duty now because her role has been expanded here earlier in the program, which is good. Glad to have you doing more here.
There's more to add to the Chief Everything Officer title.
That's right, Chief Everything Officer. There she is. And Entertainment Director. Love you.
Love you.
All right, final thoughts after this. Always like to get feedback from you, so I always encourage you, send emails if you would like. I was going to go check the emails, but it's interesting. We have we have redundant internet service here. We have Wow, which is meh. And then we have Starlink, which never seems to fail. And Ivy built this incredible system here. And the Jeffrey came in, who's a technical guru when it comes to such things. And he put this, I don't know what you call a switcher type box in the middle. So if one of the internet services seems a little sketchy, the second one will show right up and get to work. And we never have a glitch. We have backup power. We have battery inline. I think we're pretty close to bulletproof, unless the whole world goes sideways, which is great because, look, we broadcast, and we have to have a certain amount of upload speed, 25 megabits or more uplink. But, yeah, my Wow is not working. That is not unusual. Sad, but not unusual. Won't load, won't do anything. I'm not wrong about that, am I? I don't think so. It's not functioning.
Well, did you get my text reminding you that the podcast drops in 4 minutes?
Oh, the new podcast drops in 4 minutes with the Common Sense Cowboy. Do we have a 57-second? Well, I guess we don't have time. I did a little preview, but we'll do more previews with him tomorrow. Patrick Doran's an interesting guy. What do you think? Should I do the mustache, Anthony? Should I just do the whole?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He has the craziest mustache. I love it. He left the corporate world. He went completely feral. He's kind of like Brother Shane, just went feral, left the reservation. It's fine, whatever. Don't want to cut your hair? I don't care. Anyhow, yeah, 5 minutes, and it drops. New episode of the podcast. Don't miss it. Tell your friends. Gather around. Find it on YouTube. Become a subscriber for, say it, Anthony, free.
For free.
For free. Smash the like button. Fight the good fight. Keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. This is The Steve Gruber Show. And remember, only you can save America.